Welcome to this Frog Plum audiobook series. If you find these chapters helpful, remember to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you don't miss the next part. Feel free to share this with someone who might need encouragement today, and save the playlist so you can follow the journey start to finish. This audiobook is for education and reflection only. Now let's begin. Introduction. There is a quiet truth most people never hear clearly. Competence alone does not earn trust. Experience alone does not command attention. Even intelligence does not guarantee influence. What people respond to first is clarity. They feel it before they understand it. You can have real skill, strong ideas, and years of experience, and still be overlooked if the way you think and speak becomes scattered under pressure. This is not a character flaw. It is not a lack of talent. It is usually a lack of structure, calm, and discipline in how you show up when it matters. This audiobook is educational. It is not medical advice, not psychological treatment, and not a replacement for professional care. It is a practical exploration of communication as a trainable skill, grounded in awareness, repetition, and clarity. Before leadership, before business, before meetings and negotiations, there is performance. Long before I became a CEO or business owner, I learned this lesson in a very different setting. I was a musician in school. I played the piano. And something strange used to happen when I was not prepared enough. My fingers knew the notes, but my body did not trust them. As soon as the performance began, my tempo would increase. The BPM would rise. I would rush. Not because the music demanded it, but because anxiety did. The faster I went, the more mistakes appeared. The more mistakes appeared, the faster I went. What I did not understand at the time was simple. My body was revealing what my mind had not organized yet. Later, I became a magician. At first it was playful. I was an elementary teacher doing magic tricks to entertain children. Then it became serious. I practiced more. I performed more. I appeared on television. I did street magic. And once again the same pattern showed up. Cameras, crowds, attention. My hands would shake. My body would betray my intention. To fight that fear, I did not look for shortcuts. I practiced relentlessly. All day long, I had a deck of cards in my hands. Repetition did not make me flashy, it made me stable. That practice reduced performance anxiety, not because fear disappeared, but because discipline replaced chaos. My hands learned what calm felt like. Years later, that same fear followed me into business, meetings, negotiations, rooms with people I believed were more powerful, smarter, or more successful than me. The moment pressure entered the room, my speech changed. Sentences became unorganized. Thoughts collided mid-air. Words came out before they were fully formed. People noticed, not consciously perhaps, but trust weakened, authority softened, and perception shifted. It was not because I lacked value. It was because I had not yet mastered how to carry that value through my voice, my timing, and my presence. This book exists because that changed. Today, when I enter a meeting, even when sitting with billionaires, I do not rush. I do not exaggerate. I do not decorate my words. I speak in clean sentences. I hold my ground calmly. Not to dominate, not to impress, but to stabilize the room. Authority is not arrogance. It is steadiness. Clear thinking leads to clear speech. Clear speech leads to trust. Trust leads to influence. This audiobook is about that transition. Not from weak to strong, but from scattered to structured. From anxious to calm. From performing to leading. You will not find motivational hype here. You will not be asked to believe harder or unlock hidden confidence. Instead, you will work with fundamentals, thinking before speaking, choosing words deliberately, controlling pace, using silence, reading the room, repeating the basics until they become part of who you are. Everything here is trainable. Just as tempo can be trained in music, just as muscle memory can be trained in magic, just as presence can be trained in leadership. You do not need to become louder. You do not need to become someone else. You do not need to perform. You need clarity. You need calm. You need discipline. This journey is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming reliable. Reliable in how you think. Reliable in how you speak. Reliable in how others experience you. And when that happens, something subtle changes. People listen differently. Rooms feel steadier. Your words land. Not because you forced them to, but because you earned the space. This book will move slowly, on purpose. Each chapter builds on fundamentals that work together. Nothing here is mystical, nothing here is extreme. Everything here is practical. If you stay with it, not rushing, not skipping, not chasing shortcuts, you may notice something quiet but powerful begin to happen. Your voice will start to reflect who you already are. Chapter 1. Think clearly before you speak. Most people believe communication begins the moment they open their mouth. It does not. Communication begins earlier, in the quiet moment where thinking finishes and intention becomes clear. When that moment is skipped, speech turns into noise, not because the idea is weak, but because it is unfinished. Speaking while still thinking is one of the most common ways capable people lose credibility. The idea exists, but it has not yet taken shape. The words arrive before the structure. Sentences bend midway, thoughts collide. Explanations stretch longer than they should. The listener senses this instantly, even if they cannot explain why. What they feel is uncertainty. This happens often in business, especially when pressure is present. As a business person, you are also, whether you like it or not, a salesperson. You are selling direction. You are selling judgment. You are selling clarity. People do not only listen to what you say, they listen for whether you sound like you know exactly what you mean. There was a time when I did not. I used to speak while thinking. My ideas were real, but they came out scattered. I would start one sentence already preparing the next. I would correct myself mid-thought. I would explain too much because the message had not landed cleanly the first time. The result was predictable. People trusted me less. Not because the vision was bad, not because the ambition was unrealistic, but because the delivery made it sound unfinished. I pitched to investors during that period. I lost opportunities not because the business lacked potential, but because my speech lacked structure. When you sound uncertain, people assume uncertainty exists deeper than language. They assume the thinking itself is unclear. The same thing happened with my team. Big ideas without clear expression do not inspire confidence. They create confusion, and confusion does not follow. It hesitates. There is a quiet rule in leadership that many people learn late. People follow clarity, not dreams. Dreams matter, but only when they are carried by someone who sounds grounded. Speaking while thinking creates the opposite effect. It makes you look like someone chasing ideas instead of someone holding them. Clear thinkers do something different. They do not rush to answer. They allow the thought to finish before it becomes sound. They do not fear a brief pause, because they understand that the pause is not empty. The pause is where clarity forms. When I fixed my speaking problems, nothing dramatic happened overnight. I did not become louder. I did not become more charismatic. What changed was simpler. I stopped speaking until I knew exactly what I meant. That single shift changed how people responded. Investors listened differently. My team started trusting my direction. I stopped sounding like someone with big dreams and started sounding like someone who knew where we were going. This is not about intelligence. Many intelligent people struggle here. The human mind is not designed to think, filter, and deliver at the same time under pressure. When you try to do all three at once, clarity breaks. Clear communication requires separation. First, thinking, then speaking. If you cannot say your point in one clean sentence, your thinking is not finished yet. This is not a rule meant to limit you. It is a test meant to protect you. The single sentence reveals whether the idea has a center or not. Speaking too early creates a strange loop. The more unclear the message feels, the more people talk. The more they talk, the less clear they sound. And the less clear they sound, the more they feel the need to explain. Leadership breaks that loop. Leaders think first. They speak after. That does not mean silence forever. It means restraint until the idea is ready. When you speak from clarity instead of pressure, something subtle happens. Your voice steadies. Your pacing slows. Your sentences land instead of drifting. People feel that steadiness. They may not compliment it. They may not name it, but they trust it. Thinking clearly before speaking is not a communication trick. It is a discipline. It is choosing intention over impulse. It is allowing your ideas to stand upright before asking others to carry them with you. This is where influence begins, not in volume, not in speed, but in finished thought. Tonight or tomorrow, practice this. First, when asked a question, allow a short pause before answering. Second, silently name the core idea you want to communicate. Third, strip away everything that is not essential. Fourth, speak one clean sentence before adding detail. Fifth, notice how people respond differently when the message arrives whole. Clarity is not something you perform, it is something you prepare, and preparation is what turns capable people into trusted leaders. Chapter 2. One sentence first. When people listen to you, they are not only listening to your words, they are reading you. In pitching, this becomes very clear very quickly. When you stand in front of investors, every sentence is evaluated, not just for content, but for confidence, coherence, and intention. They are not only deciding whether your idea is good, they are deciding whether you are someone they can trust with uncertainty. A well-written pitch does not guarantee a well-delivered one. Once you start speaking, everything comes into play. Your pauses, your eyes, your body movement, the order of your thoughts, the way one sentence leads into the next. People absorb all of it at once. This is where many capable people lose the room. They do not lose it because they lack intelligence. They lose it because they try to say too much before the center of the idea is clear. When an idea does not arrive in one clean sentence, listeners feel it immediately. They do not think, "This person is being thorough." They think, often subconsciously, "This person is still searching." That search creates doubt. In pitching, doubt is expensive. There is a reason magicians understand this so deeply. In magic, control does not come from tricks alone. It comes from directing attention. To make many illusions work, the audience must believe you. They must trust your words enough to follow them. Misdirection is not deception, it is guidance. You lead attention away from what does not matter and toward what does. That ability is not mystical, it is linguistic. The more clearly you speak, the more control you have over the room. Not control through force, but control through belief. When people believe you know exactly what you are saying, they relax. When they relax, they follow. The opposite also happens. When a simple idea turns into 20 words instead of 5, something breaks. The listener senses hesitation. They sense overcompensation. They sense someone trying to sell something rather than state something. That is dangerous in any conversation. It is fatal in a pitch. Investors are trained to hear this. When someone keeps adding words, adding explanations, adding background before landing the point, it raises a silent question. Why does this need so much justification? A single sentence answers that question. The one sentence is not about being brief. It is about being finished. When your thinking is complete, the sentence arrives cleanly. When it is not, words stack on top of each other trying to fill the gap. More language does not create clarity. It often signals the absence of it. This is why confident speakers lead with the conclusion. They do not begin with history. They do not begin with disclaimers. They begin with the core. Everything else supports that core. When I learned this, pitching changed for me. I stopped trying to explain my way into trust. I started stating my position clearly, then letting silence do part of the work. That silence was not emptiness. It was space for the idea to land. People responded differently. They listened more closely. They asked better questions. They treated me less like someone selling a dream and more like someone offering a direction. This shift did not make me manipulative. It made me precise. Precision is respectful. It tells the listener, "I know what matters here, and I will not waste your attention." One sentence is a discipline. It forces you to decide what the idea truly is. It protects you from rambling. It prevents your body language from betraying uncertainty. It keeps your voice steady because you are not searching mid-sentence for where to go next. When you know the sentence, your body follows. Your eyes settle. Your pacing slows. Your words stop chasing approval. People feel that alignment. They do not call it hypnosis. They call it confidence. Tonight or tomorrow, practice this. First, before speaking, ask yourself what the idea is in one sentence. Second, say that sentence out loud before adding anything else. Third, notice how often the conversation could have stopped there. Fourth, observe how fewer words increase attention. Fifth, allow silence after the sentence and resist filling it. Clarity does not need decoration. It needs restraint. When you lead with the sentence, you lead the room. Chapter 3. Calm authority beats loud confidence. Many people believe authority comes from force. They raise their voice. They speak faster. They fill the space with intensity. It looks like confidence, but often it is not. It is pressure leaking outward. True authority works differently. It lowers the temperature of the room instead of raising it. You can see this clearly when you compare leaders who speak calmly with those who rely on volume and urgency. Consider Warren Buffett. He is not loud. He does not rush his words. He does not dominate conversations with force. When he speaks, he pauses. He chooses simple language. He explains complex ideas slowly, often in plain terms. People listen not because he demands attention, but because his calm signals certainty. His steadiness suggests that nothing needs to be rushed. The calm itself communicates confidence. Now compare that to speakers who rely on intensity, fast delivery, raised voice, emotional emphasis on every sentence. At first, it can feel energizing. Over time, it becomes exhausting. Listeners stop processing meaning and start managing the noise. Another example often cited for calm authority is Nelson Mandela. Mandela was known for speaking slowly and deliberately, even when addressing emotionally charged topics. He did not try to overpower rooms with volume. His composure communicated restraint and control. That restraint made his words carry weight. People leaned in because they sensed intention behind every sentence. Calm created gravity. You can also observe this pattern in figures like Barack Obama. Regardless of political views, many analysts have noted his measured pacing and controlled tone. He rarely rushed. He allowed pauses. His authority came from steadiness, not force. The calm delivery made people feel that he was thinking clearly, even under pressure. Contrast this with speakers who shout to be heard. Loudness can momentarily command attention, but it often reduces trust. When everything is emphasized, nothing stands out. When every sentence is urgent, urgency loses meaning. Calm authority works because it signals control. People subconsciously ask a simple question when listening to someone speak. Is this person managing themselves, or are they being managed by the situation? Calm answers that question without words. This is why experienced negotiators lower their voice instead of raising it. This is why seasoned leaders slow down when others speed up. This is why authority is often quiet. Calm does not mean passive. It does not mean weak. It means regulated. A calm speaker does not need to convince you that they are confident. Their delivery already tells you. When someone speaks calmly, their body language aligns, their breathing steadies, their movements become intentional. This alignment is difficult to fake. It comes from clarity and preparation, not performance. Loud confidence often masks uncertainty. Calm authority reveals stability. This is especially important in leadership and business. Teams do not need excitement all the time. They need clarity. They need direction. They need to feel that someone is steady when things are uncertain. Calm leaders create psychological safety without saying the word. People trust them more because they feel less tension in their presence. This is why shouting rarely leads to lasting influence. It creates compliance at best. Calm creates commitment. When you speak calmly, people listen longer. They interrupt less. They remember more. The room adjusts to you instead of you adjusting to the room. That is authority. Tonight or tomorrow, practice this. First, notice your volume when you speak under pressure. Second, consciously lower it slightly instead of raising it. Third, slow your pace when you feel urgency. Fourth, allow pauses without filling them. Fifth, observe how calm changes the room's energy. You do not need to sound powerful. You need to sound steady. Calm does not beg for attention. It attracts it. Chapter 4. Structure your message like a leader. Words shape how people judge you before they judge your ideas. Not because listeners are unfair, not because they are critical, but because language reveals certainty or hesitation faster than logic ever could. Every experienced leader eventually learns this truth. People do not only listen to what you say, they listen to how decisively you say it. There is a visible difference between someone who sounds grounded and someone who sounds unsure. That difference often lives inside small, quiet words. Words like maybe, words like I think, words like kind of, words like sort of, words like just. These words feel polite, they feel safe, they feel harmless, but under pressure, they send a signal you may not intend. They signal hesitation. Warren Buffett is known for his calm, precise language. When he speaks, he does not rush. He does not decorate his sentences. He does not soften his meaning to protect himself. He says what he means, and he stops. His authority does not come from complexity. It comes from clarity. Compare that to leaders who over-explain, who keep adding words, who keep qualifying every sentence. The longer they speak, the weaker the message becomes. This pattern is not new. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person should speak as briefly and plainly as the matter requires. In Stoic philosophy, unnecessary words were considered a sign of internal disorder. Clear language reflected a clear mind. In modern business, the same rule applies. When Steve Jobs presented ideas, he used short sentences, clear statements, no filler. This is what we are building. This is why it matters. This is what comes next. He did not say, I think this might be something people could maybe like. He stated direction. Strong words do not mean harsh words. Strong words mean accurate words. Precision builds trust because it removes guesswork. When someone says, here is the decision, people relax. When someone says, we might want to consider, people hesitate. Hesitation spreads faster than confidence. This is why experienced negotiators reduce language, not expand it. They remove anything that weakens the spine of the message. They do not try to impress, they try to be understood. Religious teachings echo this principle as well. In Islamic tradition, speech is valued when it is truthful, measured, and purposeful. Excessive or careless speech is discouraged because it creates confusion and misguidance. In Christian scripture, it is written, let your yes be yes and your no be no. The meaning is simple. Clarity builds integrity. The goal is not to sound dominant. The goal is to sound stable. When your words are clean, your presence becomes steady. When your presence becomes steady, people trust you more. People do not trust perfect speakers. They trust precise ones. This is why leaders strip their language down instead of dressing it up. They remove the words that hide uncertainty. They keep the words that carry meaning. Strong communicators choose certainty over comfort. They choose clarity over padding. They choose truth over performance. When you remove unnecessary softness, something interesting happens. You do not sound rude. You sound reliable. And reliability is the foundation of leadership. Speak less. Choose better words. Let clarity do the work. Your message will land stronger, not because it is louder, but because it is clean. Chapter 5. Speak to make people act. Understanding does not create action. Agreement does not create movement. And clarity without direction leaves people standing still. This is where many capable speakers lose influence. They explain well, they make sense, people nod, and then nothing happens. Ideas fail not because they are weak, but because they stop short of direction. Leaders understand something most communicators overlook. People do not want more information. They want to know what happens next. This is especially true in business. Investors hear hundreds of good ideas. Teams hear countless explanations. Executives listen to endless discussions. What separates influence from noise is not intelligence, it is decisiveness. When Jeff Bezos wrote internal memos at Amazon, they always ended with action. Not suggestions, not open-ended reflections, clear decisions, clear next steps. That structure removed hesitation. People move when friction is reduced. Hesitation is friction. When a speaker says, we should think about this, responsibility floats. When a speaker says, this is the next step, responsibility lands. That landing creates momentum. Military leadership has always understood this principle. Orders are not motivational speeches. They are direction delivered with clarity. In ancient Roman command structures, a plan was useless without a clear instruction at the end. Direction turns strategy into movement. Religious teachings reinforce the same idea. In Islamic tradition, intention is followed by action. Speech without action is considered incomplete. In Christian teachings, faith is described as something proven through action, not words alone. Across cultures and eras, the pattern remains the same. Clarity plus direction creates trust. People hesitate because they fear making the wrong move alone. Clear direction shares responsibility. When a leader says, here is what we are doing next, people feel supported. They feel guided. They feel safe enough to move. This is why calm authority matters here. Direction delivered with urgency creates pressure. Direction delivered with calm creates confidence. Great communicators shrink the step. They do not say, everything must change. They say, here is the first move. That small move lowers resistance. Behavioral research consistently shows that people act more easily when choices are specific and manageable, not overwhelming, not vague. Action-oriented language removes ambiguity. Here is the decision. This is the next step. We begin here. These sentences do not dominate. they stabilize. Leaders who speak this way are not aggressive, they are reliable. People follow reliability. Even disagreement softens in the presence of clear direction. People may question ideas, but they resist confusion more than certainty. When communication ends without direction, energy leaks. When communication ends with direction, energy concentrates. That concentration becomes movement. Influence is not about sounding convincing. It is about making movement feel inevitable. When you speak, ask yourself one question. If someone agreed with everything I said, would they know what to do next? If the answer is no, the message is unfinished. Strong communicators close the loop. They do not leave ideas floating. They lead people forward, not loudly, not forcefully, but clearly. That is how words become action. Thank you for listening. If this part helped you, make sure to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and share this audiobook with someone who might need it. We release new parts every week, along with fresh audiobooks designed to help you grow, succeed, and reach the highest version of yourself. Self-improvement becomes much easier once you understand how it works, and we're here to guide you every step of the way. See you in the next part.